I don't think the backlash surrounding Star Wars Outlaws could get much worse at this point. People are furious over there being day one paywalled content, the character models have been roasted, and of course, with every day that we get closer to release, there's more gameplay footage being released, and it all looks terrible. But now we're finding out a German YouTube channel removed their Star Wars Outlaws preview video after admitting a third-party agency told them to be more positive and had to approve everything in it. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, there are some absolutely amazing content creators out there who review lots of games and are genuine with their thoughts, but there are a lot that seem to be shills. Like, the mainstream media all seem like massive shills. This is why I live stream new games on the channel, so that I can't really be biased. You can see if I'm having a hard time with a mechanic. You can see if I absolutely hate a boss fight. You can hear me going through my initial thoughts when I'm rambling, and I will be streaming Star Wars Outlaws on release because it's my job. Otherwise, there's no way that I would touch this game with a 10-foot pole. But now we're finding out that a German YouTube channel removed their Outlaws preview video after admitting a third-party agency had to approve it. It says in a post to YouTube, Pete Smith shared that they removed their Star Wars Outlaws preview video from their channel. As translated, one of the channel's owners stated, "Hi, Peter here. We've taken the Star Wars video offline, not because we wanted to sweep something under the carpet or anything, but because it should have never been published, and we don't want it on the channel. We'll talk a bit more about this on the next episode of our podcast. I'm sorry." And then they actually had posted even more saying, "I completely understand the arguments that were made here, and that was not correct. I had the opportunity to play the game for 4 hours, and it was edited into an over an hour video. As part of the review process, the entire video was thrown back to us, and an intermediary agency, not Ubisoft, asked for a lot of changes, especially to the wording at the beginning," which definitely does not sound good, because yes, it's not Ubisoft telling them to make the changes, but ultimately it's the third-party agency that is communicating with Ubisoft, so they know the guidelines. They know what Ubisoft was hoping for out of content creators, and this agency doesn't have anything on the line. It's not their game, but they do, of course, give the code. They are discussing it with the content creators. They're the ones, giving them the contract. So yeah, it's not technically Ubisoft, but clearly they don't care if you rate a game positively or negatively. What they care about, though, is making the company they're working with, in this case Ubisoft, happy. Now, I definitely want to give props to this content creator because they did remove it from their channel. They put out an apology saying, "We didn't really feel like this was completely genuine of us, but we also don't want to sweep it under the rug," because they made multiple statements. It's not like they just silently removed it and aren't acknowledging it. So I do want to give them props for that. But of course, when it comes to content creators and the mainstream media, this is why you have to be extremely careful, because yes, they admitted that there was an issue and they didn't feel comfortable, but imagine all of the content creators who are getting copies of the game, who are getting early material, who are gonna be playing the game, and they're probably not going to be genuine because they were paid. This is why, unfortunately, yeah, a lot of content creators and the mainstream can't be trusted. I have said this for years now. I think that journalists should be required to live stream the video games that they're reviewing, or they should be uploading like fully unedited segments to like a YouTube channel, because it's the only way to trust them. Because if they get stuck on a part for an hour, you can actually see them trying to get through it, having a problem, whether it's like a bad mechanic or they don't understand, because that could honestly bode in their favor if they're really good at video games and they get stuck at a part and the mechanics are bad. But they don't do that, because then the media who is shilling for them wouldn't be able to shill as easily if the game simply sucks. We're also hearing that as for the wording in the opening video, which is what apparently they took a lot of, criticism for, a source who was able to view the video before they removed it from their channel informed the Park Place that they encouraged viewers to pre-order the game and shared that he liked the game. But now he's saying that he actually didn't like the game as much and he felt uncomfortable telling people to pre-order a game that he felt was not amazing, which I completely would agree with based on the teasers and trailers. I have seen all of the gameplay, and I would never sit here and tell you guys to swipe your credit card on this. I would never tell you to spend your money. This is why nobody should be pre-ordering games unless you know for a fact that even if it is a pile of trash, you're going to play it, right? Like From Software, for example. I pre-order everything From Software releases because I know that they're going to launch something amazing. But, one day, if they end up putting out a bad game, which would be pretty hard for them now, I would still be willing to take that chance because they've had such a good track record. And there's really not a lot of companies that I would support that, blindly, we'll say. Again, they've done an amazing job, but we're seeing tons of gameplay go up, not only from this content creator, but lots of others. Here's an example, more clips surfaced showing just how awful Star Wars Outlaws is. One shows a stormtrooper firing point blank into the side of a building, and we're seeing like the takedown abilities in the game where she hits the back of their head and they instantly drop their gun. It just makes no sense. This game seems like a title that they needed another year to freaking work on, and they just rushed it out, and now we're getting this pile of trash. We're still a couple of weeks away from the release because it's at the very end of August, so it will be interesting to see how people continue to react. So far, things have not been good. I have really not seen a lot of hype whatsoever surrounding this title, and on social media, it's basically been people roasting this game, and I do think that Ubisoft is in for a very bad time looking to the future because they have this game that I think is going to be a fail, but they also have Assassin's Creed Shadows, so they have a lot of money on the line right now. Honestly, it's kind of shocking that they didn't wait for Assassin's Creed or even Star Wars to come out earlier next year so they could space out the releases by a few months, but I think they're hoping that the holiday season is going to mean they're going to make a lot more money. I just don't think so, judging by how little hype there has been surrounding these titles, but so far, the gameplay teasers have all been absolutely annihilated, and now we have a German YouTube channel removing their Star Wars Outlaws preview video after admitting a third-party agency had to approve it, and it will be fascinating to see if any other content creators come out and say that, yeah, I also had a third-party agency that had to approve it. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.